This is the first impression video of the recently aired Chinese web drama 庆余年 Joy of Life. Hi, you're watching Avenue X, where a junkie on good storytelling shares her thoughts, knowledge, and occasional weird ideas on stories and how they're told. This big IP adapted period drama has been highly anticipated for quite a while, and in my previous Outlook video of 2020 Chinese dramas, I mentioned that this one should come out before the end of the year, and it did. And in this video, there's quite a lot of things I want to talk about, so I'm gonna first talk about my impression of this drama. Then the second part is going to be focused on introducing the background story a bit, so it might contain a bit spoiler about the original IP novel, web novel, and then its adaptation. And the last part is going to be focused on the future of this drama, because apparently there's a big plan for it for a long time to come. So the first part, my reaction about this drama. So far, I've actually enjoyed it quite a lot. Judging from its trailers, initial trailers, you kind of get the sense that it's an epic court conspiracy type of drama that's very similar to many things that you've seen in Chinese web drama land this year. But once you've watched the first couple of episodes, it kind of like they intentionally misdirected you, because so far the drama is mostly a comedy. It's very funny. I mean, 80% of it is like written for the sake of making you laugh. This drama has some really impressive cast, like I said in my previous video. The older generation, we have Chen Daoming, Wu Gang. I mean, Chen Daoming, I haven't seen him in any drama for like years. Just to watch him playing an emperor, I think is enough for me to keep on watching this drama. Not to mention his character is actually pretty interesting in this drama. You have Li Xiaoran. She's like, I don't know, is she a vampire? Because she hasn't changed a bit, like for over 20 years. As for the younger generation of actors, first I was super impressed by the kid who played Fan Xian's childhood, Zhang Ruoyun's younger version. That kid is so good. If he continues, he's gonna be a really good actor. He's comic timing is just perfect. Not to mention his kid actually looks very much like an animation character Naja. So when I watch him, like, I was like, oh my god, this is a live human version of Naja, and it's so cute. The lead actors, Zhang Ruoyun, Li Qing, Song Yi, they're all very well known, not just because they're popular, but because they're good at doing their job. And I'm pretty happy with what they have presented me so far. Xiao Zhan plays a very small role actually, so, and he's not gonna show up like until many episodes later. We'll see what happens once he shows up. Now I cannot really judge about, you know, his performance or whatever. He did show up, but he didn't show his face, so that doesn't count. I'm actually super surprised by the acting of Guo Qilin, who plays Fan Xian, the lead role's sort of half-brother. He's so good. I didn't actually expect this level of performance coming from him, because he's not a really professional drama film actor. He's a 相声演员. It's a traditional Chinese comedy form with two people or sometimes one person on stage. If you're not familiar with this type of performance, it's kind of China's stand-up comedy, but much older in terms of tradition. And his father is the most famous 相声 actor in China currently. And he's kind of the heir of that enterprise. But he likes acting, and he's been in other programs acting, and he's actually surprisingly good. And because his profession is actually speaking, so his line delivery is actually really good as well. Two things I really like about the drama so far is first the performances, then the script. It's very tight, it's not draggy, it's funny. It comes from the writer who wrote many very well adapted TV dramas. For example, this year in the summer, Young Blood, 大宋少年志 is written by the same scriptwriter, Wang Juan. He's known as 业界良心, and he has actually a lot of fans as his scriptwriting fans, so that's very unusual. He actually did a lot of work to change stuff that are not perfectly fitting the form of visual content. He also added stuff for characters to make them actually more three-dimensional and fleshed out. Because the original novel is a web novel, and because of its nature, it tends to have a lot of very quick, cheap plot throwing at you, two-dimensional characters, functional tool characters. But in the drama, the scriptwriter actually gave all these more flat characters more stuff behind and actually fixed logic bugs. That's like a huge good thing for this drama. The one thing that I have problem with is a technical aspect I've noticed, and I think many people have noticed watching this drama, is somehow the lighting is very off. In a lot of either like exterior or interior scenes, it's like they didn't do the lighting correctly. The actors look very dark, like they're not well lit, like not well made up with makeup, but like the shadow color is weird. It has a greenish, brownish. It's like nobody has good health. Only a few people who are like naturally so pale that they glow under light. People tend to have very weird color on their face that just shouldn't happen. It looks like they didn't have a reflective board to make people lit up well, which is very weird. And they actually do have that, like if you look at special features, but somehow when it ends up in the camera, it just doesn't look like it's sufficiently lit. But then everything else seems to be pretty nice, so like, I don't know what's going on with that, but it just doesn't look very nice, especially the skin texture. Like I said, I like skin texture. I don't like people to be smoothed out into plastic. But then there's also a version that you don't actually light them correctly to make them look realistic but also good. It's like realistic but not good enough. It's very weird. I don't know what's happening. It bothers me a lot because I'm like very sensitive to these things. That's the very general opinion about the first couple of episodes I've seen. I will definitely continue watching this one, and I'm actually intrigued by the fate and future development of many characters. So that leads to talk about the second part, which is the adaptation. Like I said, the scriptwriter is very well respected. I think he's done a good job so far, so I have high hope for that. I also want to introduce you to something about the original novel, so to help you get an idea about how it has been sort of done to be able to actually air. This part will include some spoilers if you really might not. The original novel written by Moni. Moni is really high production web novel writer. He wrote 则天记, he wrote 江夜, Evernight. Like, I think most people know about him already watching my channel. And this is a novel again. The original novel is written about over 10 years ago, and the length of it is 3.99 million Chinese characters. So to give you an idea of conversion rate between Chinese and English language, usually you divide modern Chinese language, the character count, by 1.6 to 1.7, and you arrive at the rough word count that will happen if you translate into English. That means this book is actually 1.4 times longer than the existing 5 books of Game of Thrones put together, and it's 1.7 times longer than the entirety of Harry Potter. Yeah, it's long. And the original novel is a 穿越 story, very common in web novel world. It's the male lead character who actually is paralyzed in modern life, somehow gets sort of spiritually transported to a ancient time-like world where he starts to grow actually from a baby's body to a mature person. He's born of a very mysterious mother who is already dead. Right after his birth, he's actually the bastard son of the emperor, that the country that he was born into. And later you'll find out actually the birth mother is also an unusual character. She's also a 穿越 character from a modern time. So the kid grows up and eventually goes to the capital and get into a lot of adventures, meeting a lot of people, meeting his birth father, and then got entangled in the court drama, a political fight, eventually become a winner, married many women, yeah, and have many children. Actually, a big spoiler is if you've watched the first couple of episodes, you should already know this. There's this suitcase that they can't open. It's left to him by his birth mother, and the key is in the capital, so they go to the capital to find the key, and what is inside that box is actually a rifle. To be more specific, Barrett M82. In the book, actually, the time period that the lead character spiritually traveled to is the future of our current world. It's like our world ended because people developed technology to destroy everybody together, and the leftover people started from Stone Age again and eventually arrived at that point that's similar to our ancient time. So it's actually a future story. There was only one museum left in that timeline that contains the technology that people managed to develop to the point when the world is destroyed. The servant guy that who always has a blindfold on his face is actually a robot in the museum. So it's kind of like pretty unusual way of doing time traveler story. You have been spoiled now. So this original story is very difficult to do because it has that time travel thing that is actually forbidden right now in Chinese drama land. I don't know why. I mean, it's not a big deal, but hey, censorship works like that. So what they did was really clever. This scriptwriter changed the fact that the character does this. He actually make the lead character a modern person who is study under a professor in the history department of a university, and he wants to write a thesis to convince his professor about his hypothesis of modern values, conflict with traditional world. So he enters a novel writing competition and then he writes this novel as his thesis to convince his professor. What happens in the story is entirely this modern guy's writing. So it starts with him in the modern world typing and then talking about this, and then it goes into the novel. So everything happens then is fictional. The novel is a hypothesis of a modern person, a contemporary person, right? Brain travels into a kid and grows up with modern people's values and ideas and knowledge. Then how do they come across an ancient time world and how do they work in that? So that's how it got around this, cleverly tiptoe around all the red tapes. Now I've introduced you to that, I'm gonna talk about the third part, which is the length of this drama, because the original novel is so long and apparently they really do want to film all the important stuff that happened in the book. So the current drama that you see is called the first season, which is just very unusual. Like Chinese drama, usually like when it says seasons, it's fake seasons. It's like they already filmed it and they just divide it into parts, or there's some type of nature of that allows it to very for sure come back next year. But season thing is not actually Chinese drama's natural habitat. 99% of Chinese dramas are filmed in entirety and then put out together. There's no season idea. But in this drama, they do say it's first season. And the plan for Tencent to do this drama is actually over the next 5 years. 5 for 3 seasons. And the entirety of the drama will be around 165 episodes. Wow, that's impressive. And I have a lot of questions about that. I started this channel in 2017. Judging from the last couple of years, I doing this channel, all the experiences, all the news, I mean, all the things I've observed, the drama world has just become more and more volatile over the past couple of years. And I don't think it's gonna get better, probably get worse in the future. To have that plan, right, that's like 5 years, is a little bit too ambitious. Too many variables, too many things that can happen to trip this up. Policy changes, actor, like what happens to them, young actors, their fame goes up and down like, you know, like roller coaster. If some of them like F up in their real life and they become not viable, they have to change lead actors and actresses, that could be a really big problem because people will not accept it. Especially if you've done the first season really well, you know, people have emotional investment, it will be very difficult for people to switch to a different face if that happens. And then also people can blow up like Xiao Zhan did. When he filmed this drama, he was like not known. Now he's like one of the hottest young actors in China. So if he keeps doing the second, third season, that might become a conflict if he's already signed 5 years contract for this show and a certain amount of pay and then time expected to do the drama, but now his price has increased that much. Whether his agency is gonna be happy about that, whether they're gonna say we'd rather pay a fine and then leave this show because now he's bigger and he shouldn't be supporting roles. I mean, all that politics can happen. Other actresses in this drama can have that. So that's a big not known. For 5 years, it's actually a really long time in entertainment business. For 5 years, I mean, give you an idea, about 5 years, which is 2014, Nivarning Fire hasn't happened yet. The most popular drama back then is like 古剑奇谭, Li Yifeng and Yang Mi. Just like think about that. How many things have happened? How many shifts of like who gets onto the top of whatever and then who drops? So much. So 5 years into the future, is that a little bit too ambitious? Like, can you actually control it? I just like think it's super uncertain for that kind of plan to happen. And the production quality of this drama is good, but it's not like surprisingly good to the level that you haven't seen. When you think about like, for example, British show Sherlock, it's really short. Every season's like what, 3 episodes, but people want to watch it even after 2 years when the next season come out because they know it's like top quality stuff, and this is not applicable to this type of drama in China, so cannot be overtly optimistic right now. That's all I would like to say in this video. My opinion about this drama based on what I've seen so far, and then the information that I know about the book and the scriptwriter and their plan, Tencent's plan, blah blah blah. What do you think? Do you think it's actually a good idea to do this type of like 5-year huge plan for a drama? If you've seen the first couple of episodes, do you like them? As I'm doing this video, I forgot to check where you can find this if it has English subtitles. But if it does, I'll put it like on the screen with text and in the description. Thank you for watching. I'm Neil X. I'll see you in my next video. Meanwhile, live long and happy drama watching.